Hi everyone, my name is Naimira Bell and I'm very excited to be joined here by my able colleagues who have just concluded the Mboa in the Loop event. So very briefly, we're going to have a conversation and I will start with you, Alan. Can you tell us what the Mboa in the Loop is actually all about? I mean, for someone who wasn't here today and we're doing this event, when we talk about Boy in the Loop, what should come to his mind? Please, before talking about it, introduce yourself and then you speak more about the project Destiny, which you guys have been talking about today.
All right, thank you so much, Mirabel. I am Alan N.S. Wong. I am a senior researcher at eBase Africa and assistant to the team lead. It is a pleasure to equally have you here. Uh, you asked two pertinent questions. What is the Destiny all about? I would like to start with this question. Destiny is not the destiny of a kit, but it simply is an acronym which stands for Digital Evidence Synthesis Tool Innovation Yielding in Climate Change. So what do we do within Destiny? We are actually synchronizing evidence around climate change and health into a single repository, so a layman will say a whole, where everybody can have access to it without having to pay or maybe to make serious decisions that concern health and climate change. So when we talk about Mboa in the Loop today, as we're looking at, Mboa is simply a word that is coming from the Douala clan, and it is a word that stands for a community, a word that stands for a country, a word that stands for a group, and it is mainly used by people who are out of Cameroon to refer to home. And when we talk about in the loop, it is a scientific terminology mainly used within Destiny. In the loop, simply means that there's a human sitting and monitoring or controlling everything that the tool is actually giving to the decision makers. Put together, Mboa in the loop would mean that Cameroon is involved, would mean that Africa is involved, would mean that the world is involved all together in this evidence synthesis synchronization.
Thank you very much, Alan. That actually means that Cameroon is not just a consumer, but we are contributing to this innovation and global development. Moving to you, Miyaka, a very young girl who, I mean, your age is, you're a Gen Z, but you're already contributing to this global agenda, to this global innovation. How did you join it? And how does, speak to us about you being a youth. How are you contributing to this? How did you join it? And how does your capacity as a youth contribute to youth voices in evidence-informed decision making? Speak to us about AI as well.
Okay, hello, my name is Miyaka Label, and I work at eBase as a software developer, and I'm equally the team lead at iCode Abakwa, which stands for Intentional Coders for Abakwa or for Bamenda. And going to your question about how I got involved in Destiny, luckily, I work at eBase and I've always been interested in using AI in evidence or technology in evidence. And with the advent of AI coming and hearing about this project, I just knew I had to join because my voice matters in this discussion. Yes, we're having Cameroonians in the loop, but one thing about youth is we always see different from the past generation. So we're obviously going to bring something different to the table. We're going to be there to challenge, to ask questions, to bring our realities. So I think having youth in these discussions is very important for that reason. And I also think that me being a youth here and looking at the event today and meeting other youth, I think I was able to amplify the youth voices because people have come up to me today and they said they think what I'm doing is really good and they feel inspired. And so I think that things like this are really important because with amplifying one youth's voice, you can amplify others. And not even just today in this conference, but my friends usually ask me what I do for work, and that's always an opportunity for me to explain to them what evidence synthesis actually is. And so just from that simple question, they have learned something. And I just think that that is why it's important to have youth in these spaces. We should not just be invited to the conferences, but we should actually take part in the creation of it. We should be co-creators.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective as a youth and your contributions in this project, Miyaka. I'm going to come back to you to throw more light on the AI aspect of this project because I think that's basically what your contributions have been centered around. Now, moving on to you, Jace, talk to us about where storytelling comes in all of this. As Alan mentioned, you see that the repository gathers a lot of evidence in one space so that someone can access it and make informed decisions. Now, someone who is in the village without access to the internet, without access to these databases and things like that, tell me about where storytelling comes in.
So the person in the village who doesn't have access to all the tools and the internet and technology has storytelling in the sense that it is what englobes their being. Storytelling is what, since time immemorial, is what we've always been using to be able to communicate information to people and communities. And it has always had an impact in ways that you can never possibly be able to determine. Now, with this research, the essence of carrying out research is to make sure that it arrives at a particular end. Now, usually it doesn't arrive at that end. And in all local communities, in every community, there is a story that people usually tell. Now, with our approach, it is not an approach where we intend to like enclose people in a certain box and make them think a particular way. No, we go with our knowledge, our know-how of how we know storytelling can change lives. We take their indigenous practices with regards to that storytelling, and then we make good use of it to make sure that they are able to understand the evidence we want to communicate to them, because they have a story, they have climate issues, they have all of these issues that lives amongst them, and they have stories about those things. So when you take those stories and then you place it in front of them together with the evidence, I believe it has an effect of changing behavior.
I think that's very important because at the end of the day, even the mother who is in the kitchen raising her kids still needs the evidence to be able to decide what kind of school should I send my kid to, what kind of play should I expose my child, at what age should I start educating them perhaps about sexual, reproductive health rights and things like that. And the only way they can access it is by storytelling. And it's very interesting because most of the discussion today was weaved around storytelling. I think every speaker that joined the stage today spoke about storytelling and they shared a bit of their story. And I saw people turning their heads, telling us that storytelling is like the icing on the cake. So back to you, Miyaka, can you tell us about AI in this Destiny project? I know when we talk about AI, many people begin to think about ChatGPT, Claude, which are, AI that we're using on every day. What is peculiar about the AI that you're using within the Destiny tool?
Okay, that's a lovely question, and I've been getting that question a lot today. The Destiny tools produce something called DEST, which are digital evidence synthesis tools. And among those DEST, we have something called robots. Now, robots are a kind of technology that perform a specific task. So you give it one task to do and it does just that and it does it good. Now, there are many robots within Destiny. Some are being still developed, some are already developed. So the fact that the Destiny repository has those robots that enhance the references that we have, it makes it better than going on something like ChatGPT. So with ChatGPT, it's too broad. You go there, you search for something. The AI is more like it's most likely to hallucinate than give you the correct information. But at Destiny, we have these robots that perform specific tasks, and not only that, we have humans in the loop verifying what these robots are doing. So that makes it a better place for a policymaker to come and access evidence-based decisions.
Thank you, Mia. Then to you, Alan. What next as we wrap up? Where are we going after this event, Mboa in the loop?
Okay. Thank you so much, Nai, for that question once again. After this event, what we are foreseeing as a way forward is the fact that we need to communicate this to the team, because Destiny is actually a consortium of 9 non-governmental organizations all over the world. We need to communicate the event of today to them, and we'll take a joint decision, and which I'm already looking at one, to be that this event will be co-hosted on the Destiny website, where each of us can go there and listen or re-listen and listen again to what we decided here today. Secondly, I'm equally thinking that we already have some provoking questions from the ministries. They are already willing to collaborate with us, as we saw with the Ministry of Forestry that was here today, and the questions they asked. They are already willing and asking questions on how can we get on board. So the ministry will be involved as well, because we have been working just on a regional level with the Northwest Regional Assembly. Now I think that it is time that the government of Cameroon as a whole will be involved.
Okay, thank you. As we wrap up as well, Jace, can you tell us how frequent you do communicate stories? Do you communicate the stories just in events like this? Or how can it reach people that really need it, like in the kitchen? How do we ensure that the stories that we are telling here reaches someone in Besa?
So the world is growing at a rapid rate, and there are different various mediums through which stories can be communicated. If it is not on site, if it's not physically, we can do what we are doing right now, but in a more storytelling like manner, which will produce outputs like videos or audio recordings that these mamas in the village will definitely have kids who are versed with the Android phones and things like that, and you can easily listen to. And going back to the traditional way of doing things, we equally have radio plays that can be recorded and streamed over the radio.
Okay, thank you very much, colleagues, for joining me in this session. And to everyone at eBase, we seek to improve the livelihoods of the underserved population by using innovation and best practice. Thank you.